So, here we are, map number 2 of this best of 3. Deadless Point is the map, go for SC2. Monthly finals is the competition. €600 on the line, and spawning in the top left-hand position, we have got the pink Protoss player, who represents my insanity, Stardust. His opponent down to the bottom right, the blue Zerg, representing Fnatic, it's Zanster. Zanster has to make a bit of a comeback. Game number 1, he got cannon rushed. Hard. It worked well. Stardust played it pretty exceptionally. As did Zanster though. He tried to out-expand the cannon rushes, hoping to get an economic lead. But then Stardust followed up with the Stargate play, and it was too much to cope with. Deadless Point though is a bit more favoured towards Zerg, and the key reason for that are two things. Firstly, while the ramp's smaller, it's a lot further away from your natural base, which means a photon overcharge doesn't protect the ramp, meaning it's a lot harder to hold. Secondly, the third base is a lot more wide open than many other maps, which means force fields are less effective, and if a Protoss player attempts to secure up this third early, it can be quite easy to deny. Zanster, playing things a bit safer this game, opting for a nice early spawning pool. It's not super early, that was about 15 pull. It was a 15 pull coming down, so he should be safe from aggression. Meanwhile, Stardust, he's got a pylon up in the main. We'll wait to see whether or not he produces a gateway, or nope, he's not. He's gone Nexus first, so this is all good. Very economic opening from Stardust, and I like this style of play personally, because if you're sitting with a bit of a unusual situation where game number 1 you cannon rushed, then game number 2, if you go super economical, your opponent's probably playing safe to try and keep things a bit more secure in case you're going for another cannon rush or something like that. Hatchery though is now on its way down. The pool has finished, 2 lings on the way out, not much else. The important thing for Zanster is he's just scouted that it's a Nexus first opening. He'll know it's a Nexus first from the timing. Sees the Overlord, pulls it back, and I don't believe this Overlord has actually been seen by Stardust. It shouldn't have been, because buildings, while in construction, have a really low vision radius. Probe now though, making its way across the map, going to go and get some scouting done of his own. 2 lings are not quite going to be seen by the Probe. Probe may go and check to see whether the third base is out, but this is a lot more lings coming through. And this is a bit of aggression coming down from Zanster. He wants to try and get some damage down onto that Nexus. It would take quite a big beating though to actually kill that off, so I think Stardust should be okay with it. May lose a probe or two, but he's already rallying them back up to his main. Cybercore isn't yet finished, though no Mothership Core as of yet, but a Zealot is about to pop out onto the field. One is already out, a second one getting chrono boosted, or probably will get chrono boosted out. Warp Gate Tech also on its way. No more lings, just a lot of drones back at home for Zanster, who's securing up his third base. For the moment, Stardust hasn't actually seen that third base is in construction, so he doesn't know. He just knows that there's aggression coming now. 6 lings isn't terrifying, but a couple of probes may die if there's any miscontrol. The Mothership Core though, gonna just be forcing them back. No way for the lings to deal with the Mothership Core, and so while its damage isn't huge, it will slowly chip away at any lings that are there. Third base, 2/3 done now from Zanster. He's got a third queen already in position. Zanster's gases are quite late, but not overly so. Generally speaking, if you've got for this third base at around the kind of, just around the 4-minute mark in response to a Nexus first, you'll get up your first 2 gases at around about the kind of 40 to 50 odd supply. Then you'll typically get a double gas, and that's because there's nothing a Protoss player can really do to punish you much before that. So we're seeing from Stardust here a bit of an alternate wall-off design, and that is where you wall off along with the Nexus, so you just actually still keep your base open towards the top. A small gap at the bottom that will probably get plugged in a bit by another gateway or some kind of tech structure. But the benefit of this is that a photon overcharge can defend all of this area, and that's pretty critical. Mothership Core came down, confirms that, yep, third base is in existence. A couple of lings being a tiny bit annoying, but not too much else really happening for now. Few pylons. We should actually see another construction build up here just to really close off the different routes through this natural base that Zanster could really exploit. Zanster clearly slightly concerned, adding in 2 Spine Crawlers and 10 Lings. This is quite an interesting choice because for the moment there's nothing too scary really coming. Oh, actually there is. Okay, more gateways being added in, but I don't actually think that this was seen. All Zanster knows about is that there's 1 gate there, and now 3 more gates in production. He doesn't actually know just how deadly this is. He sees now the probe out though. Has got an idea the pylons are coming, so now should be producing a lot of stuff. This is a very aggressive play. 3 Spine Crawlers in production. Pretty much all essential. Stardust being very aggressive here. He's going up to a total of what is going to be 7 gates. A forge coming down though, so he's not massively committing to this. Does have the option to start getting some upgrades down off the back, but he's going to be trying to force a lot of units out, and he's being successful in doing that. Zanster has to reposition these spines to make sure that he can hold off most of this pressure, and buy himself enough time to get a critical mass of units where he can crush this assaulting force without kind of having to trade toe for toe. Up comes now a lot of these gateway units. They're going to back away. The force fields do leave a small gap, meaning that actually quite a few of those units are able to escape. Not the best force fields from Stardust there. Back at home, he's adding in a 3rd and 4th gas. Still hasn't made these 2 gateways into warp gates as of yet. Zanster still just repositioning these spines, trying to create a good spread where he's going to be safe from anything that comes through. Big wave of warp-ins from Stardust as he adds in the Twilight Council as well. Waiting to see whether Stardust does actually go for this. There's a lot of Zerg out at the moment, but the force field numbers are also raising pretty steadily. He's already got, what is, 7 sentries there. And 7 sentries have a good number of force fields, especially the longer they sit out here, banking up more energy. These spines constantly being repositioned, trying to adjust to where Stardust is moving his army. Stardust still pumping out a huge number of units. Stopped producing probes, now he's fully saturated at both bases. Spines attempting to move. Stardust coming for the flank though, and these spines aren't in position to cover all of this area. That means there's only really the Zerg units to defend this. The spine will fall. A couple of force fields coming out already, zoning out a lot of those roaches, allowing the Zerglings to get focused first. Stardust engaging this very well. These force fields blocking a lot of the Zerg army, but knowing those force fields about to fall, quick mass recall to safety. Overall, Stardust only killed 2 workers and a spine, but he didn't take many losses either. 600 resources lost in total, whereas he did 1,300 resources of damage. Blink being chrono boosted out, so Stardust following this up with a blink play and a couple of immortals. So a very potent build, still on 2 bases. Not going to be able to afford to take a 3rd base with this much stuff being pumped out. And that's something that really Zanster needs to identify, because he's investing in a 4th. And that's not always a bad move. Getting a 4th base out isn't a problem if your opponent's taking a 3rd. But if your opponent, when he knows his opponent isn't getting a 3rd, it's a bit of a risk, because while that push was stopped and no critical damage was done, Stardust is still on 2 bases. So he's got to be spending his money somewhere, and that's likely on a follow-up push. And so most of Zanster's money and bank should be getting spent on as many units as possible. Hydralisks, they're going to be critical. They're a huge part. Now they've been buffed a little bit. They deal even better against this gateway-centric force. But interestingly, Stardust opting to take a 3rd. Wow. Okay, so he stopped production from these gateways. This is the thing which I wasn't actually expecting. I was expecting Stardust to get a lot more production out of these gateways with Blink finishing up. But instead, he's going to be going for a layer game. He cut production for quite a while so he could get up enough bank in order to get down that 3rd nexus. And is now just going to be turtling up for quite a while. Adding in a cannon to part of this wall. He's got a relatively good wall-off position here. He's pretty much secure, no matter where things were to go. But he's also... Whoa, oh no, the 3rd was faked. That makes more sense. Okay, I was going to say, that 3rd was quite unusual. What has Stardust seen that's made him do that? Pylon gets taken down. His main base is looking a little bit vulnerable. But in comes a huge number of Blink Stalkers. There's also that 1 immortal at the back. Pushing forward, takes out those spines very quickly. The 3rd base being evacuated towards the 4th. Roaches and some Lings counter-attacking. But this is a very small group of forces. However, the surround coming down. Double time warp. No mass recall available anymore for Stardust. He's going to be able to kill off this 3rd hatchery. But does he know that the 4th is up? I don't think he does. He may not have seen the drones move. Back at home, these roaches getting a surprising amount of damage done, but a big warping of Stalkers up in the main. And with Blink, they're going to be very effective. 3rd hatch falls. In comes Stardust's army. towards the natural base. He's going to start trying to take out these Hydralisks. And with Blink, he can micro relatively effectively against Hydras, but just the sheer number of Roaches and Hydras now on the field has Stardust overcommitted. Well, he's taking out the Roach Worm. He's preventing any further Roach production, but Ling Hydra is more than good enough against this. The Force Fields are still good. The Warp Prism there, ready for additional Warp Pins if required. Stardust still trading very cost effectively, and the Immortals are still up, and that's going to play an important part. He's pretty much all in now. His natural base has been decimated, so Stardust blinking like mad. Zanster knows that he's in a good spot though, so pulls a lot of drones, and if he can kill this army, he should actually be alright. Those Hydras at the back, getting some nice shots down on these Stalkers, but it's not going to be enough. Stardust able to just brute force it through. GG's called, and Stardust takes this series 2-0.